Hello and welcome to Chit Chat Live for the week of April 20th, 2015. On this episode, we will be talking about last Sunday's show, Who Do You Think You Are, with Bill Paxton, plus a few other genea-news tidbits. Hope you're ready. Hi, and welcome to the show. My name is Shannon Combs-Bennett. I am the creative director for the In-Depth Genealogist. Joining me today is Terry O'Connell, executive director. Hi, Terry. How are you?
Hey Shannon, how are you? I'm good.
Oh, I'm good. Now, I should let everybody in the audience know that, unfortunately, the reason we're at a little later than normal is there was all sorts of gremlins in the system this week, and we just didn't like any of the shows. It was really bad. So Terry and I are here doing an effort to get a good, clear picture and sound to everybody. So hopefully that works. So you ready to jump in, Terry?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, so there are a couple non-who do you think you are tidbits that we wanted to touch base with everyone out there. In case you all have been asleep for the last week and missed it, I doubt that though in the genealogy world with the way this has gone kind of gangbusters, we wanted to talk briefly about our thoughts on the Ben Affleck controversy. And I'm not sure I should use the word controversy because I don't think Terry or I really think that it's a controversial subject. But there are many people, yeah, there are many people out there in the genealogy world, and now that it's been picked up globally, the story has grown legs, let's just put it that way. So Terry, do you want to share your opinions first, or do you want me to be the first person to get hate mail?
I think I've already gotten it, and that's okay.
That's right, because you wrote a blog post about it. Do you want to share? Do you want to share your blog address so people can go out and read that?
So my website is at findingourancestors.com, and the name of the post, I believe, was Ben Affleck, Bill Gates. No, Ben Affleck, PBS, and Scandal.
Okay, there you go.
And my side of it is this: we all have. I shouldn't say we all have. Most of us have some uncool ancestors in our background that we don't feel the need to share. I think that it's personal. Mm-hmm. We have to come to grips with what our ancestors have done before some of them can get aired out. Now, I'm all for sharing the stories, and even on the bad guys. Most of you who know me know that those are the guys I kind of like to look into because a bigger story can be found. But sometimes it takes a bit of time to really get comfortable with putting that information out in the world. So I really took Ben's side. Like, he didn't want this information released, and I understood that. He has a family to think about. He has his reputation to think about, being that he's not only just an actor, but he's out there in the political world as well. I totally understood where he was coming from. That doesn't make him necessarily right. It doesn't make him wrong. I just am saying I understand.
Right. And I read a comment somewhere where somebody asked a professional genealogist, they're like, well, if a client only told you to present the good information, would you? And I don't think that is what happened.
It doesn't apply.
Right. It's not like he was told beforehand, oh, we have this story. And he's like, oh, no, don't do that. He went through the 10 plus hours of filming. So he got all the information.
Yes.
And I'm sorry.
He handled it very well. If you read the transcripts,
right.
He handled all of it very well. And he was very forthcoming. I don't like this guy.
Right.
I don't like that he was an ancestor.
Right. And, and my point is, once you present the information, the person whose family it is should have the right to say, I don't want that shown.
Right, exactly.
I'm not, either I'm comfortable with it. I
need some private time.
I need some time. To me, it's their information.
Correct.
He has the right to do with it whatever he wants, or to request. Now, it was a television show, and the request could have been denied, but obviously when you have that amount of tape and you have 20 minutes for a segment in a show, stuff will have to be cut. Exactly. And the three people that they focused on from Ben's family were fascinating, wonderful stories, and I think they did an excellent segment. And those were great stories. It was a great narrative. It blended in with the other two people on the show, which is what I kind of noticed they started doing last year. Was they kind of went through a theme with the three
Right.
different celebrities they had on, and
Right.
showed like how they had similar type of backgrounds.
Right.
So, maybe with that, it just didn't fit.
Yeah. And I also want to say on Facebook, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, but Cece really said it well. You
Mm-hmm.
know, Dr. Gates gets flack for focusing too much on the slavery. So now we've cut the slavery topic and now he's getting flack.
Right.
Like,
I found that amusing.
I know. I totally did. Give him some leeway, guys.
Right. And,
It's so in genealogy. Let's be thankful we have that.
right.
And
And
that hopefully we can keep it.
yeah, no doubt.
That's my concern.
Part of me also thinks that, it's just part of the sensationalism of that Sony hack. And, the
Yes.
Sony executives last year, when all of these emails were released, they came out in a statement and said, releasing emails out of context without, and private personal things like this is only going to hurt people and only do harm to not only, the various communities, the company, the people, because they're like picking and choosing, and you don't know what phone calls were happening. You don't know what happened in
Right. Behind the
face-to-face
scenes.
meetings. You only have this one little segment. So there might have been other things too, but now we're speculating. So
Right.
I find it, I'm hoping that it's 15 minutes are done and we can move on to something more important. I don't know.
At least if we're going to have a heated discussion, let's have a heated discussion about the hacked emails. Not Ben's emails or Gates's emails, but the
Right.
whole caboodle
Of
of
course,
hacking.
of course, I'm kind of interested to know why they picked those to release. I mean,
Well, because it left them
genealogy isn't mainstream. What the hell?
would have put Ben in a bad face for the public,
That's true. And he has a movie coming out.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
politics in Hollywood. Woo!
Moving on.
Moving on. So the other thing that we found was actually came out on yesterday, which was the 23rd, and it was a Slate article by a man named John Christian. It's called "Deleting the Family Tree," and you can find it out over in their technology section of the online magazine and blog posts. And it's all about the myfamily.com shutdown. Did you have anything on myfamily.com,
I did
Terry?
not. No.
Okay. Well, for those people who aren't sure what myfamily.com was, it was basically a family sharing repository website type thing run by Ancestry, where members of families could get together, they could have online discussion, share photos, videos, all those types of things, and it was supposed to be kept safe and private and all in one place. Well, according to the article, and I'm going to read this little quote that I cut out of the article, kind of giving an idea of what it's about, is in the summer of 2014, Ancestry announced that it was shutting down My Family. It was okay, the company said, because we'd be able to export all the family memories we'd posted over the years. Ancestry community manager Kara Longpre promised in a post that photos will be exported as JPEG files, videos will be exported in the file format used to upload them, and discussion details will be exported as text files. So this site would close down for good in September 2014. So they gave them some time, right? That's the point of the stories. They gave all the families, all the groups time to go out and download. Well, this gentleman's aunt, who is in charge of the website at My Family, also runs a magazine and is a very busy woman. So she downloaded everything and, in his words, trusted the company.
Mm-hmm.
Because she said if she hadn't have trusted the company, she would have looked at the files immediately. And instead, she opened them up last fall to find out that it only contained photographs and nothing else. None of the videos, none of the audio files, none of the discussion board messages or anything.
I wonder if because they were different files, if they saved differently and maybe she hasn't searched hard enough.
Well, it was a zip type file that you unloaded, and she said when it opened, all that was there was the pictures. And
Okay.
they've tried to contact Ancestry, and have not, in their opinion, received a good answer back. In fact, it says they did apologize for the confusion, but it was ultimately determined it wasn't feasible to return the discussion data. And this isn't the only family that this happened to. I guess there was a third-party site that opened up when Ancestry decided they were going to shut down My Family. And you could, for $69, pay a fee to this site, and they'd basically go through and scrape all the information out of My Family and put it in their company. The problem is you had to do it before My Family shut down. So for anybody who is in this position where they trusted a company and then found out later
They're SOL.
that yeah, they've lost it. And it's a very moving article because he talks about how, his grandfather's dead and how he had contributed to this. His grandmother is alive still, and she's like, well, I'll try to put everything back together. And,
Oh,
and I
bless
guess
her.
she has commented to him that how it's, even though it's only been 10 years for some of those things, she can't remember a lot of the stuff she wrote
Oh,
because the
that's
memories are
heartbreaking.
now fading. So it's a lesson in one, things it's somebody equated it to, going to your second story with all the family letters and burning them type of thing. It's just, lost, it's gone, can't get it back. And it's a cautionary tale of one, in this digital media type world where a lot of these things are happening and coming and going, but there's still not a lot of, I guess, guidelines or ways. It's still being solidified on how you should do things. Is it the company's fault? Should they have done more? Is it our fault for being too trusting of a company and not,
Well, I'll say,
protecting it more?
normally I'm like very pro ancestry. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say if their blurb was beforehand, we're closing down, and you can get the video files, you can get the text files, and you can get the picture files, then it's Ancestry's fault. I mean, that's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah. Now he has links in his article to the different PR posts. So if you want to know what exactly Ancestry said and wrote and everything, you can go out there and click on those links, and everything
That's good.
is there for you to read. So it's a very good piece. But I also wanted to point out that, this is also, to me, another reason why we should
Hard
hard
copy.
copy things and back up on multiple places.
Put it on the cloud, put it in your filing cabinets.
Right, because you never know when it's going to poof.
Yeah.
And even if it's not a complete backup, having something is better than having nothing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Which brings to order, the Going in Depth goes out tomorrow, and there is an article in there by Jennifer Shore, and it is about this types of things, about losing things that with technology continuing to change, and maybe we're not able to keep up. Some of those transfers just aren't going to work. You need to keep those hard copies.
Right.
So look for that tomorrow. I believe tomorrow morning that should be up and out.
Yes, because unfortunately we had a little bit of a technical issue for those of you waiting for the the article. So the magazine is coming out this Saturday. Yay, it's coming out.
We promise.
We promise. Um,
All right.
so unless there's another story that has come out that I didn't get on, I saw those two, and I know we try to keep our shows short because we could talk
Yeah.
about a gazillion different things. But was there any other topics you want to discuss before we jump on to Who Do You
I
Think You
think
Are?
those were probably the two big things for the week.
Okay, great. So in this episode that aired last Sunday of Who Do You Think You Are, we followed Bill Paxton. And I have to say, I love him as an actor.
I did too.
He's always so funny. And this is going to sound terrible. The first film I remember him in was Weird Science.
Was he not?
Yeah. Now you're
I
going to look it up,
have to
aren't
go
you?
back and watch it.
He played the bully older brother who was in military school.
Hmm.
Am I right? Because
I
if
don't
I'm
know.
right, I'm just like totally messed up. And so I'm looking at IMDb right now. So I loved it because it talks about one of my interesting, most favorite time periods of all, right? The Revolutionary War.
Oh, I thought we were back on the 80s still. I was like, wait a minute.
No,
Okay,
no,
good.
no, no. But what I liked how they started out because he went to the library in Los Angeles first, right, to get his. They had a family tree. Terry, did you notice? Are you happy? No.
Yes. I mean, we went 3-4 weeks without one? Without the
Yeah,
one
at
on screen,
least.
not the nice rolled one, the one on screen one. I was very excited, but they had to because they were going across multiple lines. You know, he had the Paxtons, the Sharps, and
Right.
guy in the middle that I don't remember his name.
Right. And what I thought, and it still amazes me that some people do not know about the GRS system from the DAR library.
Mm-hmm.
So I was happy to see they didn't give you like a real tutorial, but they showed the website
Right.
because that, if you think you have Revolutionary War ancestors, is a fantastic research tool,
Mm-hmm.
especially now that you can purchase the documentation
Right.
from the library.
Right.
So especially those older submissions, like the ones from the 1900s, some of
Mm-hmm.
those had, original family Bible records and other
Right.
types of documents written in, because think about it, you're 2 or 3 maybe generations away from the Patriot.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is the 125th anniversary this year of the
Right.
DAR. So think about some of those early packets you could see. But yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
liked how my husband sitting next to me on the couch, we do 1 and it's no, and you do 2 and it's no. He's like, the third one's going to work, right? And I'm like, oh, would you shut up?
But you know what? What bothered me about that is because, of course, he's right. The third one's going to
Right.
work. But they didn't even discuss where he should look to see if the other 2 were involved at all.
That's right. Because just because they're not in that database, all that means
Doesn't
is
mean they weren't involved.
that's right. Because all that means is that nobody has proved that ancestry for the DAR.
Right.
So they could be they could be in the SAR.
Mm-hmm.
They could be, county muster rolls. There could still be pensions on fold 3,
State
all sorts of
archives
stuff.
and books.
That's right. That's right. See, no stone unturned. Exhaustive research.
That's right.
But, and of course, this is where I get to, if you don't mind me, I'm gonna keep talking about the DAR a little bit here, because that was the next place we went, library. Have you been to Constitution Hall, Terry?
No.
See, this
I've
is
been
what
to
happens when you
DC
get.
once, and I was told I was allowed to pick one thing to go see.
That's just terrible. You need to come visit.
I chose Arlington National Cemetery.
Oh, that's a good place to choose. That's a good place to choose.
We went for college tours, though. We weren't really there for vacation. So my son and I went. He picked one place. I picked one place. He picked Mount Vernon. I picked the cemetery. We still got to see great things.
Right. Oh, pardon my phone ringing. I will not be answering it.
Oops.
I have you on mute. Give me a second.
Shannon is quite funny, isn't she?
There it goes. Okay, sorry. I'm tethered to the computer and the phones are like 10 feet away from me, so I can't just get up and go hang it up and go, God, get back.
That's funny.
I have an answering machine for a reason. So,
okay, so back to Constitution Hall.
So back to Constitution Hall. So when you come visit, we will do some stuff. But what I wanted to point out is, for the people who have never been there before, the entrance he went in is the special people entrance.
So this club worked.
Yeah, it's that's 18th. That's the 18th Street entrance between C and D streets, across from the ellipse, and the ellipse is what you can see the White House from. So that kind of gives you a geography. The DAR Constitution Hall is maybe 3 blocks from the White House.
Okay.
And we're a block from the Washington Monument. There's a, but the thing that got me was my husband, he's like, we didn't go in that entrance. I'm like, no, that's not the normal people entrance.
Sorry, honey, you're not important enough.
Well, when visitors come, if you're going to come to go do research at the library, you come through the administrative entrance
Mhm.
and you have to check in at security and get a little visitor's badge. And then you walk down the hallway and there's the DAR museum and then there's the library.
So can you finagle when I come out that we can have some sort of clout and go down the special entrance?
Maybe, because I know some people who work there. We'll see what we can do. But that's the hall and the atrium is the Pennsylvania Hall, and it's absolutely beautiful, isn't it?
I would love to go there.
Well, that's easy. Come out and visit. But I was happy to see the library. It has an amazing collection, thousands and thousands of books, and everybody should come and visit because there's so much information there.
You know what I think the sad thing about this was,
Hmm.
and it's hard to pick a bad thing, but the person, the historian that was talking to him wasn't from the DAR.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, that's kind of, well, I don't want to say a waste, but that's how I
Right.
felt.
Well, I don't know what happened. So,
Well, it's just like every other show and every other place you've gone. When they were in Chicago, they certainly didn't have a Chicago historian
right.
discussing Sean Hayes's
Now
life.
and it may be now, okay, so the DAR has trouble keeping genealogists on staff.
It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
And I think some of it might be even ungrateful work because people are just complaining that you're not getting through their stuff quick enough.
Well, a lot of I've also been told that they pay peanuts so they can't keep people. But I don't know if that's true. So I know, like right now, if you go out to their jobs, they have staff positions open for professional genealogists. So, but you have to be in the area. You have to commute. There is
That's
no,
the hard thing.
yeah, you have to be in the area to do it because and willing to commute in because they expect you to be there every day. It's an on-site, not at home position.
Yeah.
So it may just be one, they just didn't have anybody available. Or two, it could be that the professional researchers for the show did all their own research and they just brought them to the DAR library for ambiance type of thing, you know?
Right.
But I was excited that he also went to Kings Mountain because
That was cool.
visiting a historical site where your ancestor was and then getting to read his. I will be right back. Keep talking.
So they went to Kings Mountain, and I only watched this episode once, and I normally watch them multiple times so that I really have it down pat. So at Kings Mountain, he got to read from the book that his ancestor actually gave a description of their battles there. Oh, you're back. You're back. So we're talking about the book. He read the description of the battle that Benjamin Sharp wrote about in whatever the book was.
It was a great book about I think it was the Battle of Kings Mountain, or it was a book on the battle.
Right.
I did not write down the title. Now I feel foolish,
but it was good. It was very interesting. I mean, to be able to hold the book, read the words of your specific ancestor,
and see a signature.
Yeah, I mean, for my Revolutionary War guy, all I have is a affidavit from the courthouse where he was in this regiment with all these people, but when you look up all those people that he was in that regiment with, yeah, it wasn't that regiment at all. So, that was exciting to be that he was able to do that because I would like to do that.
Oh, I know. Those types of finds are just absolutely fascinating.
Yeah.
I don't have anything like that either. My husband does. Well, no, I'll take that back. I have for one of my Revolutionary War ancestors. So it's actually my mother's direct paternal line. So her father's line on back. He talks in his pension record about the 4 stab wounds he received during the war. Yeah. So, and a gunshot. A musket ball. I don't know how this guy survived, but he did, and he actually gave a description about the Battle of Guilford's Courthouse, which is one of those, one day when we're in North Carolina, we will be going there to see the battlefield.
That's cool.
Mostly because on my mother's side was him, and on my father's side was a British soldier. And they fought each other at the Battle of Guilford's Courthouse.
Ooh,
Yeah, so that
that's
was
an
pretty
interesting
interesting.
family history.
Yeah, my mom likes to go, we won. So I just go, we all won. They didn't die. So let's just
Right,
leave it at
exactly.
that.
Right, that's true. That's true. Because if you
I,
had, you wouldn't be here.
I wouldn't be here. That's right. I'm
That's right.
happy about it.
That's right. Wow, that's crazy.
And then we went from where he went back to Virginia, and eventually I liked how they had that information from the Library of Virginia, because I'm like, another place I go to. In fact, I'll be there in a few days.
There's a great blog post out there. Oh, we should have pulled it. I don't even remember who wrote it, but it was about being called in to the Library of Virginia to deal with all of that.
Oh, I wish I hadn't seen that. Do you remember who wrote it?
No, but I'm going to go see if I can find it while you talk.
I can talk because that's what I'm good at. I've been doing it since I was a baby. So the Library of Virginia, the room they were in actually isn't the any of the public areas. They took him back to like the private archive reading room.
Of course.
So that was nice. Well, because it's an open library, and it's if you've never been to the Library of Virginia,
it's on my list.
Come to visit.
Exactly.
It's in downtown Richmond.
Okay.
And it's the bottom story are like classrooms and like a shop and stuff, but then the main level is open to the public.
Okay.
And they have dozens of terminals there, and it's a place where people of all socioeconomic status go to do mail and websites. It's kind of like they have like it's public computer access for the area. Okay. In addition to the research areas and the archives and all the other kind of stuff, it's all on one floor. So it's extremely busy. There were people who were like, oh my God, it's so busy when NGS was here last year, and it was a little bit more busy, but it's always, I'd say, at least half full any day of the week I go, if not packed. Like every computer taken and people wandering around, and yeah. So it's a busy, busy place. So I don't blame them for taking them probably up a couple floors.
It just makes sense too, because then you have all the gawkers and Get Me on TV and
right. I mean, the only other place I would have thought that they would have done that is to actually go to the archives. The archives is a little corner of the second floor, and you put in a request, and then they go and they pull it from somewhere else and they bring you the box. But it's a beautiful all wood paneled room with big wooden tables and little secretary lights and stuff. So that would have been a really cool place, but you can't really shut down the archives for how many hours they're going to film.
That's true too.
So did you find the blog post?
No, I'm still searching.
Oh, that's fine. But it was interesting because, he talked about how he's now becoming a politician, and he wasn't in the House of Burgess, but he was in the legislature, which is the lower house. And what else did they talk about there? How, he was now a wealthy land. You had to be a good landowner to get into those types of things, and have a little bit of prestige. And they mentioned James Monroe, how he was helping with the presidential election for John Adams and Thomas Jefferson.
Right, that was kind of cool.
Yeah. So when I watched it with my kids a couple days later, after I saw it with my husband, my oldest looks at me and goes, "We know who won that one." Are you serious? My phone is ringing again.
Let it ring. It's okay.
Let it ring. Okay.
Let it ring. You're a busy gal. All right. I can't find that. We'll once we do, we'll put it up on our Facebook page for everybody to get a look at.
I should have let that one ring. That was a telemarketer.
Too funny. You can't tape at night because the internet's bad. You can't tape during the day because you get these crappy calls.
Nobody ever calls me. This is like I get one or two phone calls during the day at most, ever. And we've had like 3 in the last 15 minutes.
That's funny.
Who were the other
All
people?
right, so where are we now? I told him that we'll put it up on the Facebook page once we find it.
Okay, that sounds good. Oh no, I should have answered the first one. The first one was my son's school. We'll finish up here and I will
Yeah.
call my
So
son's
moving
school
on.
back. Okay. But I loved going to Missouri because that was a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
The will,
Yes.
lots of great information in the will. And Bill Paxton found out in this episode that his ancestor was a slave owner, but
He handled it well.
he handled it well. And of course, I kind of wanted to say before it got to that part, as soon as they started talking about him being a prominent Virginian,
Oh, you knew it was coming.
you knew it was, if you know anything about Virginia history, you know that's coming because
Right.
he couldn't have got to the position he was in
Right.
without being a slave owner because
Right.
that was, at that time, that was status and prestige.
Right.
They'd have looked at you funny if you didn't. But it was nice to see, and I think it made him feel better about it when he learned about how in the will he told his children to, watch them and protect them.
Right.
And I found it interesting that William, so Bill and Judy, William and Judith on the census had taken the Sharp name. I don't
Yes.
think they pointed that out in the episode though, but I saw that on the screen
Yes.
and made a comment.
Yeah.
So that right there shows that even though, it was a sign of the times, that in their own ways, I mean, we can't go back and color, brushstroke over history type of
Right.
thing. We can't put modern views on a historical event because
Absolutely.
you have to understand the people's mindset at that time. But that was not necessarily usual, but I think it showed his humanity deep down.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely agree.
And then the gravestones out in the woods.
Oh my God.
Did you notice the pink ties on the trees? I'm sure that was his breadcrumb trail to follow.
Probably. I noticed at the end I did. But there were also a lot of people were hubbubbing that was the only time he mentioned the female ancestor Hannah.
Well, you never know. It might have before and just didn't make it the story. People,
Oh, good TV.
Get with the program.
But you also noticed the very small headstones, so I'm assuming they lost some babies.
Well, I was wondering if they were other or because of their position, because there was two, they might be footstones.
Oh, that's true.
Because it was still common when they died to do headstone, footstone.
So we should look on Find a Grave because I believe somebody posted that the Sharps are on Find a Grave.
Oh, did of course.
Genealogists, we can't leave it the research. I'm guilty myself. I mean,
no. If we're curious about something, we have the tools, the ways, and the means to go out and figure it out ourselves.
Exactly. So, and I believe it was called the Sharp Family Cemetery.
Okay. Then then that would be awesome to go out and look because I was torn between are they more family or because of the distance and the way they were placed, could they have been footstones?
Yeah. I will say this. I have on my mom's line in West Virginia, I have family that's buried on a mountain. And I was lucky enough to be taken on a tour by an older gentleman who is in the family somehow, I don't remember. But he came and met up and took me and my son around to 3 or 4 different family cemeteries. And this one, it was, trees, and then it was covered with brush and sticks, and you couldn't even see that there was a cemetery from the road. And in front of it, there is, it was all family land. And there's some kind of shed or something, or some kind of business that looks like it's run out of a big old shed and a driveway. And we drive up, and then there's like these stairs that go up the mountain. And it's like 3 or 4, it's not a lot. And then you go in and you literally have to do like one of these to like move everything.
Right.
And I had got some amazing pictures out of it. It was really cool, but it was also very sad.
Oh.
And because it's on the mountain, and it was like a great incline. It's too hard to go in. And I said to him, I said, oh, it's such a shame that nobody comes and cleans it. And he goes, I personally take care of like 3 different family cemeteries. He goes, I'm just too old to be doing this. And I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm like, but this family has like big reunions, and like you would think,
Right.
with all people coming in for a reunion, you can't drag them all to the mountain and be
Right.
like, cut the stuff down, get a weed whacker, get it going. Heck, even an edger would go through that stuff real quick. So it was cool to see him going through and dodging everything.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful setting.
Yeah. I really like it. Now, it would have been even better if, somebody showed up and said, "Hi, I'm Mr. Sharp," like they did to Angie Harmon. But
Right, right. Who was the other one that just did that too? Didn't somebody else get that?
Where they went and it was a relative.
I was watching BBC ones the other day. Never mind.
Darn BBC.
So that was really cool. I'll tell you what I liked about it. This whole show. Bill was in touch with everything. He was really seriously interested. Like we discussed yesterday, he knew his family lineage. He knew who his Civil War soldiers were. He knew what they did.
Did you hear he had letters and stuff? Did you catch that in the opening? He's like, we have documents and letters and stuff. That's how he knows all that.
That's cool. I don't think I caught that.
My husband caught that. I had to rewatch it.
I didn't say I still have it on my TV. I'll rewatch it.
Okay.
But so it was cool that he knew that. But what I liked most is he didn't appear as his celebrity. Did you notice he had no makeup on? His face was red and blotchy as mine is in the morning. I liked that. He didn't care,
He was a real person.
He was him. He was Bill.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it.
I did too. I really did. Which makes me sad that this Sunday is the last one for the season.
And so before we discuss who it is, I also wanted to say, just because there are quite a few Bill Paxton fans out there, end of the month or in May sometime, Texas Rising on the History Channel. Have you seen?
No.
Bill Paxton's in that.
Oh.
It looks good.
Oh, is it about the Texas War of Independence?
I believe so.
Oh dear, my husband's gonna make me watch that, isn't he?
It looks really good.
It does. Okay, we'll have to check it out.
Good. So go. I think there's clips on the History Channel website. I just looked that up maybe about 10 minutes ago in the show because I listen to it, and I usually can pick the stars out by their voices because I don't really watch a lot of the TV. I listen to it. And I was like, hey, I know that voice. So that looks
funny.
Really. So let's talk about next week. Next week.
That's right.
The last one.
The last episode for Who Do You Think You Are this year, and it's going to be on Melissa Etheridge.
I'm excited to see that one.
I am. I was reading an article about it yesterday, and the reason she's like, I wasn't really interested in doing it, but her partner, is it her wife or is it just her partner? I can't remember. Okay. Is friends with some of the producers and convinced Melissa to do it. And she said in this interview I read, I think it was through Billboard, she knows a lot about her mom's side of the family, but she didn't know anything about her dad's. I think she said she knew her grandparents and that was it.
Wow.
So to be able to, go and watch this tree basically unfold in front of her was a really interesting experience, and she really enjoyed it and got into it. So I think we might see in the beginning some hesitation because it's one of those, I'm here because my partner told me to be.
Yeah.
like, have we ever done that before? But then turns out that she really enjoyed it, and she goes to Quebec, and she also, and there's a big scandal there in Quebec, and she also learns about some ancestors in the U.S. who were involved in bootlegging.
Doesn't she go to St. Louis too?
She might. It wasn't mentioned in the article I read.
I remember tweets about St. Louis, and then.
Well, that would make sense.
That
would make sense for bootlegging, especially if she's in the Midwest.
And did anybody else go to St. Louis this year? I was trying to think.
Yeah, there was.
It could be on the cutting room floor too, so you never know. But I believe she was in Quebec or St. Louis.
I could have sworn recently, Gosh, now they're all starting to run together. Darn it. Recently, there was someone who went to St. Louis briefly.
I mean,
It wasn't,
Genealogy Roadshow went to St.
yeah,
Louis.
it wasn't. Sean Hayes went to Chicago a lot.
Yes.
Um,
America Ferrer was Honduras, all of
yeah,
it.
all of it. Now you're gonna make me go out and pull up my notes, aren't you? But it was recently someone in the Midwest. Was there another person who went to Missouri?
I don't think so.
Yeah, so I'm not from Indiana.
That's the right way to pronounce it.
Yeah, I know. I get funny looks here in Virginia when I say Missouri. Kind of like when I try to say the place the slugger, the baseball bat is from on the river in Kentucky.
Louisville. Isn't that the right way? Louisville?
You don't want to know how I say it.
Say it.
Laval.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a southern word.
Yeah, we will now turn the topic back to Melissa Etheridge and how we're excited.
Yeah, I'm sad to see the show ending.
Well, I want to let everybody know that just because Who Do You Think You Are is ending doesn't mean that we are. So we are going to announce on next week's show some of the upcoming things we have coming up and how you can still watch us until the next set of genealogy shows start up in the fall. So
September, I think, is Dr. Gates if he doesn't lose his show beforehand.
Oh, don't say that. They've already been filming. Don't say that.
I hope not.
Okay. Well, I think we're done for the day. Are we done for the day, Terry?
Absolutely.
Because we've gone way over without Jennifer.
Which is funny because it's only two of us.
Yeah, it's because Jen's not here to keep us in check. So, well, remember, everyone out there in YouTube land watching us on the internet, we would love to hear from you. So drop us a line in the comments below, like us on our Facebook page, or follow us on our Twitter account. Or simply just send us an email to editor@theinDepthGenealogist.com. And on that note, we want you to have a great day and remember to go in depth with all of your ancestors. Bye.